The men's team, Monday, December 18th, they faced the Michigan State Spartans in the Breslin Center. WXOU was there covering it. I was there alongside Drew Allison and Justin Shepard. I wasn't calling the game. The other guys were. I was just there to help out, but was still happy to go as well. So you can catch that recording. You can catch the post-game summary. You can catch all that on WXOU Sports and WXOU.org. We got things everywhere. You guys just got to stay tuned. You guys got to be locked in with WXOU everywhere we are. But to the actual game, it ended with a loss for the Golden Grizzlies, 79-62 to the Spartans in East Lansing, in a game that was disappointing from a fan's perspective, from my perspective. I was talking up this game. I even did it the post game of Eastern Michigan, hyping the game up a little bit because I genuinely believed, judging by the way both teams were going, that this one was going to be a close game and that this one was going to be a very good shot for Oakland to get their first win in this series against Tom Izzo and the Michigan State Spartans. I wasn't far off. However, there were some costly mistakes that caused the loss to be what it was. So Oakland in the first half was able to keep it really close. They were within one possession, then it grew to 4 points, then 6 points, but Oakland was still keeping in there for much of the first half. What was not there, however, was the offense. Oakland was struggling to get the ball in. They didn't look smooth with it. The plan didn't seem as coordinated for each offensive possession, and it just resulted in very staggered scoring, especially in a game that was as defensive as it was. You just wish the offense was there against the Spartans. So that started to become an issue. And Coach was even talking about in the post-game press conference, that's while they were playing good defense, it was the struggles on offense that kind of leached in and leaked into the defensive mentality. So it kind of, the way he put it, we started feeling sorry for ourselves because we couldn't make a shot. That's what he said at the podium. And the first half ended. Oakland was down by 8. It was 22-30 for the first half of the game. And there was a path to victory. I mentioned it in the halftime show of that live broadcast. There's a pathway to victory. However, the way it opened up in the first 5 minutes of the second half, Coach said that he was disappointed, frustrated. He was not happy about that performance because the first play of the second half, in a game where they held Tyson Walker, big time scorer in the Big Ten, they held him to 2 points in the first half. That was what was keeping them close. That's what was keeping them at least within within single digits. But the first play of the second half opens up with a wide open single pass to Tyson Walker, and he sinks a 3 wide open. Doors were blown off from there. Oakland was not able to keep up, and it was a stumble all the way to the end, unfortunately. Tom Izzo at the end gave the Golden Grizzlies a lot of credit, and I was there for both press conferences. Obviously, there were different tones for both sides, and it was a little more showboating-ish from Tom Izzo at the podium, which, you're going to have when you win the game, but I could tell that thing went for like 20 minutes, just Tom Izzo's part, and I was like, I get it. But this is very glotatious. This is very bragging-like. But they played a good game, and they deserve it, and they earned it. But I was looking at my watch, like, this thing's taking 20 minutes. Come on, Coach. But either way, it was a disappointing game. Looking at the stats for the Golden Grizzlies, Trey Townsend, 17 points, was 6 of 14 from the floor, even made a three-pointer as well, 1 of 2 from 3, 4 of 6 from the line with 4 rebounds. And what was really surprising, it's something that we didn't even get an answer of because we ran out of time at the post-game press conference, but Rocket Watts, playing against his former team, like against his former coach, scored 16 points on 7 of 10 from the floor, 2 of 3 from 3, with no free throws. That's just about the cleanest 16 points that you can get, but he only played for 24 minutes. Now, we didn't get a chance to ask, and I'm surprised no one else outside of WXOU asked at the post-game press conference, but obviously they had a lot of MSU media there, and then they kind of they were taking up some time for the questions. They spent a lot of time talking about Blake Lampman in the game, which I'm not saying that they shouldn't have been talking about him because he had 12 points as well, made 4 threes, but I'm like, hey, we kind of have a big story here. I want to know why Rocket only played 24 points, and we just ran out of time. But I'm sure there was a reason, but 24 minutes on that kind of efficient scoring, I was surprised to see him only play 24. But to Blake Lampman, like we were mentioning before, 4 of 14 from the floor, 4 of 10 from 3, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals. Blake had a good game, and they gave they had great words for him as he, the walk-on, and now is in his 5th year. Best player of the Golden Grizzlies. Tom Izzo, I can't remember. He said something to the degree of Lampman would be a good coach. And Campy kind of agreed with that. And I can't remember how it went, but there was the idea put out there in the press conference that Blake Lampman could one day be a coach. I hope to see that. That'd be sweet. And I think he would do a really good job at it, but that was something I heard, something to be verified. If you were to go watch the press conferences from both sides, but they mentioned something about it. I can't remember off the top of my head. Sorry. So either way, once again, the final score for the Michigan State game, 79-62 in the Breslin Center. And that will bring us now to their game Wednesday the 20th at Dayton, Ohio against the Flyers in their last regular season, well, I guess last out-of-conference game for the season, regardless of regular or not. But that one ended in a loss 91-67, and that doesn't sound good. But in the Grizz Vision afterwards, Neil was talking to Coach, and Coach was not mad about it at all. He knew that his team played good, and they guarded well, and the zone was working. It's just shots were going in. Similar to what Purdue Fort Wayne did in the arena, they just were making shots. And it was a case where they would guard, like Coach was saying that they would guard like the whole shot clock. They would throw up a prayer, and it would go in. There was one play where that happened, and they missed a shot. The offensive rebound. Oakland guards another 30 seconds. And then they make the shot again. It was a game like that, but Campy was very happy with how his team played. He specifically mentioned Baru being, quote, dominant inside and, guarding the basket, And unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch it. I wasn't able to listen to it. So I have to go just based off the stat sheet and what Coach was saying. But if he's telling me that Baru was dominant in protecting the rim and on defense, I'll take it, and I'm happy about it because that's something I've been waiting for, something everybody's been waiting for all season long, to see Baru get back into it and to see Baru catch up from all that missed time that he had on the offseason and to show some improvement and potentially be a dominant piece later down in the Horizon League season. Boy, that'd be sweet. Because you see the flashes, you see the ability. It's just a matter of time that he's had with the program so far. There was problems with getting him in for the summer, and this was mentioned at the Michigan State game that Baru was only able to learn like 20% of the sets. And that's why he can only play for so many minutes, because he only knows what to do in so many situations. Just because he hasn't taken the time, hasn't had the time to learn that complicated zone. But to hear and to see that he has shown these improvements is very exciting. He was one of the biggest stars and one of the biggest additions to the team that I saw and I was excited for in the offseason. But looking at the rest of the stat sheet, Trey Townsend back in action with 21 points, 8 of 18 from the floor, 5 of 5 from the line, 3 rebounds and an assist on top of it. A block included as well. Jack Golke, 3 of 8 from 3, that getting him his 9 points, along with 7 rebounds. That almost led the team. Isaiah Jones led the team in rebounds with 8. And, somehow, man, Golke is getting these rebounds. Either they're going his way or, he's not on the team for rebounding, but he's getting all the rebounds. It's not a problem, of course, but I'm just like, okay, he's got 7 rebounds. He's got twice as much as Trey has. You don't expect that just from the construction of the team. But moving on, DQ Cole, he had 9 points. He was 3 of 4 from 3. And, had a rebound as well. And, both, you got the combination of Golke and you got DQ and you got Blake Lampman. You got some variety in 3-point shooting. And that's what's nice. Because everyone's going to focus on Jack. Jack is top in the country in 3-point attempts, 3 points made. He's up there. He's on everybody's radar. So to have more options for 3-pointers, hey, not bad. I think it's a good addition. So, yeah, disappointing week for the Golden Grizzlies men's team, losing both of their last non-conference games, but the way it's looking, and none of that's Horizon League, man. Coach will always say, it don't matter until Horizon League. Well, Horizon League's coming up. They're going to be on the road for Cleveland State on the 28th, and they're going to be on the road for Youngstown State on New Year's Eve. So it's going to get real, folks. I think this team has potential to be a real threat in the Horizon League. Last year, they were 5th in the league going into the tournament. I could see them going above. So I'm really excited for this Horizon League season. And before we continue with the rest of your basketball, we got women's basketball coming up, but I got to tell you about Round Ball Radio. Join DJ Deshaun Fridays at 5 on WXOU for an all-inclusive talk and analysis on the game of basketball. Whether you're a fan of the NBA, the NCAA, or Oakland Athletics, Round Ball Radio has you covered. Listen to Round Ball Radio Fridays at 5 on WXOU. Let's now get to women's basketball. They played their last 2 non-conference games, this time at home in the arena against Toledo and against Miami, Ohio. You got a couple MAC teams coming to town to face the Golden Grizzlies. We'll give you the details on first Toledo. This one was Sunday the 17th at 7 p.m. You heard it on WXOU. Me and Harj rather, on the call for it. Golden Grizzlies fall to the Rockets 78-65. And, dude, that game was a drag. That game was ugly. And the reason I say that, and, especially, me broadcasting it, this game had 64 free throws in it. I wanted to vomit. It's just from watching it. 64 free throws is insane. 38 of them went to Toledo. They made 31 of them. That's 31 points just from the stripe. And it took forever for the whole game. Oakland, obviously, they had, so if there was 38, then they had whatever the math is. Oakland had some down the stretch as well. That last 90 seconds, man, that must have taken an hour. But moving on to the actual game of basketball, it was a struggle with the size of Toledo. It was my read on the game because Toledo had not only one tall player, they had 2, even 3 players over 6 feet. One of them was 6'5", similar to what Central Michigan had in Rochelle Norris. And, 6'5" is not fair. Darn near unfair. And it is something that the team struggled with against Central Michigan, and they struggled with it again against Toledo. Just the rebounds, they were heavily out-rebounded. The free throws speak for themselves, like I already spoke for them. But it was just a struggle to get going in that sense. And it led to Oakland falling behind in the game, leading to the final score that we have 78-65. So now we'll quickly move on now to Miami, Ohio. This one I'm going to spend a little more time on. I was just there yesterday. I called it all by myself. It was just me calling it for you guys on WXOU. That's going to be up on YouTube shortly on WXOU Sports. Be sure to subscribe. But this game went to overtime. This game was destined for overtime from the start. And let me walk you all through it. So, I'll save the result. We'll say it that way, unless I already gave the result. I can't remember. But either way, the game started with the first quarter. The score was not even in double digits. 9-8 after 10 minutes of play was the first quarter score. And I'm like, oh, God. This one, I mean, at least it's close. But, man, there's no offense in this game. And I was getting worried that it was going to be a slugger like that. Did not turn out to be the case. Offense picked up in the second quarter. Miami, they scored 13. Oakland scored 17 in the second quarter. So it picked up a little bit, but it was close the whole way through. You had twin grad students transfers from Cincinnati and the Scott sisters that made no effort in looking anything apart. Their names were Jay Duscott and Jay Dinscott. They had the same haircut. There was number 10 and number 12. There was no hope for getting them right. I mixed them up so much during the game. And I already knew I was screwed as soon as I was reading the game notes. I'm like, oh, God. But either way, they had a huge impact on the game. And surprisingly, Jay Dinscott was the leading scorer for Miami with 13.2 per game, I believe. But it was Jay Duscott that was leading the way for the Red Hawks. But, as it kept going, the game was close. Nobody got further than 6 points of a 6-point lead, I should say. So the game was close all the way through. It was an absolute pleasure to call, and thank you to all those who listened. But either way, let's skip forward all the way to the fourth quarter, the final minutes of regulation. So Oakland was leading by 1 in the fourth quarter. Oakland would grow that lead with a 3-pointer by Linda Van Schaik and then a mid-range jump shot by Brooke Quarles-Daniels. They now are up by 6 with a free throw on top of it by Maddie Skorupski with 23 seconds left. They're up by 6. It looked like Oakland had this in the bag until Miami, Ohio, they make a 3-pointer to get the game within 3 with 19 seconds left. So now it's within 1 possession. Everyone's calling every timeout they got. They lined them up back-to-back with these timeouts. And then Oakland had the inbound coming out of that last of the series of timeouts. It was 19 seconds left on the clock. The inbound is stolen by Miami, Ohio. They take it across court. They got speed. Kick out pass. 3-point shot. Tie game. 58-58 with 12 seconds left. The shot was made by, what was her name? I think it was Chorus Lard or something along those lines. It was the only shot she made all game. She took 1 field goal before that, and then with 12 seconds left, they kick her the ball for 3, and she ties the game. Incredible. So now Oakland has 12 seconds to get one last shot in to ice the game. They have the ball. They bring it over, and they take a 3-point shot trying to get it. Pops out. Game is going to overtime. And then in overtime, Oakland got as much as a 4-point lead in the game. It was 64-60 at one point. So 4 points with a minute 37. Miami makes some free throws to make it a 2-point lead with 1:07 to go. I'm trying to take you through the timeline here. And then Miami, They get a three-pointer, and now they're in the lead in overtime. Oakland will go on to tie it. We'll bring it back up to even with 14 seconds left. It's 66 all. It's in overtime. And then Miami has the last shot at it. They're on the baseline. It's Jada Scott. Push away, alleged push-off jumper from right baseline. Sinks it with 0.2 seconds left. A buzzer beater. They reviewed it, and they confirmed that there was no push-off, and the score will stand. Game's over. Oakland didn't have, they didn't have enough time. They even added half a second to make it at least possible. Unable to get it. And Miami walks away with a win in overtime. Their second win of the season and their first one since November 27th, which was an overtime win over Xavier. So the 2-7 Redhawks came into the arena and beat us in overtime. And it was such an exciting game, but man, oh, it was so close. Oh, I wanted to call an overtime win, man. Oh, man. But the game was just so exciting. You guys could go and check out the last bit of the broadcast recording. You could tell I was excited. Getting to some of the quick stats of the game, Brooke Quarles-Daniels puts up a career-high 22 points on 9 of 17 from the floor, 4 of 6 from the stripe, with 6 rebounds, 4 of them being offensive rebounds, along with 2 assists and 3 steals. We also have Maddie Skorupski. She puts on 15 points on 5 of 10 from the floor, 2 of 5 from 3, 3 of 6 from the free throw line. And then we got Kiani Westbrook. She was a big piece in the overtime push. 10 points with 4 of 4 from the floor. She never missed. Free throw line, 2 of 3 with an offensive rebound on top of it. 3 blocks included as well. So it was just that kind of game. It was just a great overall basketball game. And I thought it was one that is for the record books. At least for me, that was one of my favorite games to call. So we'll call it the personal record books. But either way, that will put the Golden Grizzlies at 4-6 for the season, and they will be at home still to take on the Northern Kentucky Norse to start Horizon League play next Friday, December 29th at 7 p.m. on WXOU. And with that, there is no club sports to report on. Unfortunately, the hockey teams have not had a game since the last episode of the GioMoShow. So we're going to go right into the ad read. What other sports shows we got on WXOU? Well, we got the Blue Ski Mask Show. Mondays at 2 p.m., the ultimate radio show for Detroit football and basketball aficionados. This thrilling program, Oakland Post sports editor Brock Hillig and sports reporter Kirk Szymanski will take you on an exhilarating ride through the world of Detroit Lions and Detroit Pistons. Get ready for in-depth analysis, player spotlights, game reviews, and expert insights on all things centered around the NFL and NBA action in the Motor City. Stay connected with us and stay connected to the heartbeat of Motor City sports. Blue Ski Mask Show, Mondays at 2 p.m. on WXOU. We'll be right back with your football therapy. It's time to talk about Detroit Lions and get to the all-Italian team of the NFL. We'll be right back on the GioMoShow.